I started reading your books at the end of last year after a friend gave me a CD of a room like this and put it in my nightstand for about 9 years and pulled it out last year, bought a book from it, started reading it and just thought, this chick is nuts. But 5 days later, read it again and bought 2 more books.
Now who's the crazy one?
Very good publicist. So now I think I have all the tools in front of me to be doctor and patient.
You have the tool within you.
I think I do.
You have the tool within you, and it's your guidance system. That's the tool, the only tool.
The problem is, and things started to change. I started to see things within 30 days. I changed my food and meditated a little bit. Money started to come to me in strange places. Of course, you slip back into your old habits, which were, self-absorbed, arrogant. And I got cut off, So I'm having a problem feeling that I'm a vibrational and not a physical. It's really hard to understand that. And we spend most of our life bones and flesh. To think that I'm vibrational is really hard. I can read it, I can hear you speak it, but to make it my fiber is very difficult to understand that.
Well, one of the things that we've noticed is that if you will just softly accept the premise and try to find a little logic in it. Have you ever looked at the smear that a human body is in the petri dish in the really early stages? And yet, all that potential, everything's there. So, even though it looks sort of like goo, and yet it's going to become something with toes and fingers and eyes and nose. And you can accept that evolution. That's easier for you. So all we're asking is that you accept that there's some evolution before the goo, that there is a vibrational beginning to all things. And when you do begin to accept the vibration, then start deliberately setting forth a thought, holding it as best you can in a good feeling place, and then notice the corresponding manifestations that happen. And it doesn't take long before you begin to make an association between what you are deliberately doing and what is unfolding. And that's all that we are encouraging you to do. No one has to read our books. No one has to hear about law of attraction. You are born with all the tools. You are born with enough variety to inspire you to more. And you are born with this natural desire to feel good. You are all born selfishly oriented. It is natural for you to gravitate toward things that feel best for you. So we're just tweaking a little bit. We're just giving you a little bit of guidance. We're just wanting to give you some relationship things so that you can follow your path. Because if you're responding to this and responding to that and responding to that and responding to that, you're upside down and all around. It's like a cork bobbing on a sea. You don't have any control over it. But when you start deliberately trying to exercise a little bit of control, and as you said, get results right away, it is impossible to accept that once you begin to acknowledge it a little bit, that you cannot go all the way into understanding who you are. And the reason we know that is because Source is flowing to you all day, every day. You just got to get in the receptive mode. That's all. We know sometimes we make it so simplistic, humans don't want to accept it, and sometimes we try to explain it with so much definition that then you really don't want to accept it. And we say, what really happens with most of you is you have to live enough life to realize that you want things that you can't figure out how to control, and then we give you the means to control it all. And if you apply the techniques and understand the laws as we present them to you, they are irrefutable. There is not a shred of evidence anywhere in the universe to the contrary of anything we ever speak. And so, as you begin listening and reading and applying and feeling and finding the feeling place and ignoring the conditions and finding the feeling place and then discovering your alignment and your harmony and how good it feels and then the results that brings, before long, it is inconceivable that everybody doesn't get this. You walk around and you listen to people complaining and then you notice what's happening to their life, and don't you want to say, this doesn't have to be this way. There's a whole universe out there willing to cooperate with you and give you all the things you want. There's a concierge that has taken notes about everything that you preferred, really good notes, and is sending you signals about how to discover all of the pieces of the magnificent life that you've put into that vibrational reality. But you got to care about the way you feel, and you got to trust that the law of attraction is a powerful and consistent law. It will never let you down. It will never lie to you. It will never swirl around. It will never give you anything that's out of vibrational sequence with that which you are offering. Never. You get what you think about whether you want it or not. You get what you think about whether you want it or not. And nobody else is doing anything to you. You are creating all of it. When you first hear us and we say you create your own reality, you say, thank God, finally, I have control of my own reality. And then you say, I create my own reality? I create my own reality? We say, you get what you think about? You say, but my thoughts are thinking me. I have no control over my thoughts. We say, yes, you do, but you got to start with subtle thoughts. You got to start with general thoughts. You can't take a thought that you've been thinking for a long time, so long that it's a belief. You can't take that thought and change it overnight. Even if it's not serving you, you can't change it overnight. But you can change it every single time. Your point of attraction is completely in your control. And once you get control of your point of attraction, let's say this better, the way you feel is completely in your control. And once you get control of the way you feel, so then you're standing in that stable place and you've been interacting with other people, and sometimes they go nuts on you. Sometimes they are so twirled up in what they're doing that they have their attack right there in full view of you. And when that happens, your response to it is all that matters. If you freak out, blame them, blame you, you're out of control. The circumstance controlled you. If you stand steady and you know what happens and you understand they're just out of alignment, doesn't have anything to do with me, and you maintain your alignment so that instead of being a reactionary to conditions, you are reacting and responding to the vibration, to the flow of source that is flowing to you. It just gets easier and easier until it becomes not just second nature, but first nature. Until you just find yourself feeling good most of the time. And when stuff comes up, it's never anything that you feel like you cannot handle, even the big stuff. And then, instead of trying to hide and protect yourself from conditions you can't control or from conditions that you fear, all of you love a lot of people, and all of those people are going to die, and some of them are going to die before you do. And you want to call that tragedy, and we want to call it life. And we want to say the way you feel has to do with how shored up you are, with who you really are, how connected you are to who they eternally are. You don't ever have to miss anybody because nobody ever goes anywhere. But you can tune yourself to a frequency where you can't have the money you want, and you can't have the friends you want, and you can't have the fun you want, and you can't have the things you want, and you can't have the relationships you want. You can tune yourself that way if you're a sloppy thinker, if you don't care about how you feel, but it doesn't have to be that way. You have control of your own reality. Don't you love knowing that? We love you knowing that. We love you knowing that. We've used up all your time.
I just got here. I made you laugh, though.
Say again?
Said I made you smile.
All is very well here.
One more question?
Yep.
Diffusing daily aggravation and not having it become the strongest limb on the tree.
Can't diffuse it, because when you look at that thing that's aggravating, it's getting bigger even as you're aggravating it. So you got to think about something else. Because when you think about that thing, you don't...
What about the mental override button that everybody has?
About what?
The mental override button that we all have that just says, all right, I'll be mad just this once. And just letting yourself be mad and having it grow.
First of all, you have to be where you are. You can't be somewhere other than where you are. But if you're leaning toward relief rather than toward aggravation, so if something is aggravating you, just the word aggravation means you are focused in opposition to who you really are. So it's just a matter of turning this way instead of that way. But the way we would approach it is we would change the subject. We'd get off the subject, because you can't stay on the subject without the aggravation increasing. It's a law.
I know.
Annoying, but it is a law. And its consistency means a lot. If sometimes it got bigger and sometimes it got smaller, then you wouldn't know what to do, would you? But because it's always consistent, you know how to get the results you want. You do. Esther has said to us, she would say it to Jerry too. She says it to us quite frequently now, and still to Jerry. I know the way I'm approaching this isn't going to get me what I want, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I just feel like it. I just feel like it. I don't feel like being the one that has to find the right vibration. I just feel like focusing on this condition and just being mad for a minute. I just feel like it. And the reason that sometimes you feel like it is because you don't have the resources to feel otherwise. Sometimes you're tired and you just want to sit down. And when you're tired and you just want to sit down, it's because you haven't been resourcing yourself with source. But you can't sit there very long before your desire to get up comes again, you see. Do you believe that you create your own reality? Do you believe that you have an inner being who is aware of what you are doing in every moment? And do you know that your inner being has a steady, in this moment, opinion or perspective of what you are focused upon right now? In other words, you're not out there by yourself. Your inner being is focused with you, right with you, right with you. Esther was trying to screw a screw into the top of a headboard the other day, and it was too tall for her to see what she was doing. But we could see it. You see what we're getting at? You have guidance within you who knows always. And if you will accept that, then...
Will I have my Abraham, so to speak?
You already do. Of course you do. You have an inner being, yes. A cadre.
Will he come forth with a name?
Maybe. The name is irrelevant. The emotion is what matters. The recognition that someone knows and is broadcasting that knowing to you. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would talk about that all day, every day. I've got someone who knows, who is telling me what they know all day, every day, and often I don't listen. But I'm getting better and better at listening because I care more and more about feeling good. And I'm no longer trying to prove myself. I'm just allowing myself to be. You're going to have fun with this. You're off on the right foot.